So, welcome all. We have a conversation under the frame of the parallel review involving Sandra Vieira, moderated by Sandra Vieira, with the curator of the exhibition, Somebody's Narratives About the Other Body, Zohreh, and also with the participation of Sarvi that collaborates directly with Zohreh in the concept and the text related to the catalogs that it's part of the exhibition. The parallel review is the moment where we show the different exhibitions that we have done during the parallel platform in the third year, and Somebody's each one of the 6 exhibitions that it take part of this edition. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, as everybody know, well, we can say it everybody because it's really all around, unfortunately, we have to keep these moments, the activities in the online mode, hoping that very soon we can be also in live, real life. Well, I'll give the word to Sandra and to Zohreh and to Sarvi to start their conversation. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, let me start by thanking to Zohreh and Mohamed and also the organizers of Parallel Talks for providing this great opportunity to discuss topical issues around the exhibition. So it's a great pleasure and an honor to introduce Zohreh and Mohamed. Zohreh Deldadeh is a freelance art researcher and curator based in Tehran. She holds a BA in graphic design and an MA in art research. Her curatorial practice mainly investigates how social political issues shape the visual culture of specific societies. Since last year, she has been focused on the body and its social political aspects. Mohamed Sarvi Zargar is a Tehran-based researcher who is mainly focused on social and media studies, historiography of ideas, and film studies. His recent projects include new developments in the Middle Eastern intellectualism and Iranian film history. First of all, I admit to having some curiosity regarding the beginning of this project and the subject matter of the exhibition. Had you previously worked on it, or it was the first time that you approached it? How did it come about, Zohreh?
Yeah. Okay, let me also say hello to everyone. And okay, I start with a short description about this concept that I started in 2019. I started to work on body. First, it was just a personal curiosity. I was studying some stuff related to that. And then I got a curatorial fellowship in India. For that fellowship, I decided to work on the same issue. So I curated an exhibition related to the body and its socio-political aspects. On that exhibition, I was more focused on political aspects of the body, and I have to mention that it was by participation of the Iranian artists only. So for that exhibition, I invited 5 Iranian artists working with video and photography. And I chose those artists who were working related to this concept. But then when I started the parallel program, because it was like a study that I really wanted to develop it, it was very interesting for me. And also, since I was searching through this concept, I realized that there are a lot of aspects that we can consider related to the body. So when I worked for the first exhibition, I worked more on political issues. I was thinking, okay, what else is matter? And I was also interested to go indirectly to thinking and working on a subject which is indirectly political, not necessarily, because, for example, for the first exhibition, I was dealing with gender issues related to Persian culture, also some political issues regarding the like punishments and like hanging punishment in Iran, this kind of things. Mm-hmm. But for the parallel, I decided to go to get closer to the concept, but choose another aspect which is indirectly political. So since I was studying this concept, I came up with this very important concept of othering system, which all the societies through the othering system try to control the bodies, the main things that we are facing with. So I was thinking about this concept of othering and what is the other actually. So I decided to work on this concept, body, but related to the notion of other and self. And why I decided to do that, because as I told you, I was facing with so many subjects and topics that indirectly were related to the body and controlling the body, and all of them, most of them, let's say, comes from this notion of othering. So I decided to work with this concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about the title, which is the literal meaning of each of the terms, some and bodies, and what does their combination and performance suggest?
Mm-hmm.
I think
actually, who? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, about the title. Actually, I maybe it's just my I wanted to play with the title, because I was thinking, okay, let's start from this story. When I was studying this body issues, I came up with this concept of body politic. And when I was searching the body politic, I came up with a book of Hobbes, and there was an illustration on the cover of the book, which is, actually, I haven't seen the book. Oh, I can see you. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I'm a bit, yeah. I found this illustration on the cover of the Leviathan book by Hobbes. This illustration is it has two parts. One part of it is a big figure, which is made by the body of the other people. So you will see a big figure of a king, actually, but the body of the figure is made by a lot of people, and it's about the structure of the society and how individuals are making the society and how individuals are shaping the structure of the society. This was very interesting for me, but it was a bit far from my concept. My concept was more about the politics of the body, not the body politic. But this was very interesting for me, that how like individuals are shaping something bigger. And when I'm focusing on the concept of the body, how each body and how everything which is related to the body of one individual can make a whole, can make a culture, can make a something that's then be considered as a society, and we are talking about that society. So I was thinking about choosing something which is which has individual and collective together. And then I decided I chosen this title also for the India exhibition. So this is from that time, but then for parallel, I decided to continue the same title with a different subtitle. And somebody's, for me, is a kind of playful thing. It has a playful concept that at the same time that we have the body as like a human body in the word, but the compound word of the somebody also refers to the group of the people, and we can then we can symbolically consider it as like a big group of people, maybe the society. So it's about like one body and then having a lot of body, and then narratives related to those bodies that I consider this exhibition kind of narrations of 5 artists, narrations of 5, like 5 stories that telling us about the body. Maybe the artists are not necessarily like agree with me because they had their own concept for their series, but this is my interpretation from their project. So for me, the somebody's a broken word is like somehow the representative of the individual body and the collective body.
Yeah, very nice. And how the curatorial process and selection of works evolved? Did the team first appear and then did the selection of artists follow? What criteria combined in this process?
Well, you know that we are part of the program of the parallel. So the process of choosing the artists and working with the artists, and actually the process of curation is a bit different maybe from another project that I might do personally. Because as part of the parallel program, we were 6 curators and there were 30 artists. So we were supposed to work with this artist and choose from the group of the artists and their projects. But each of the curators came with one idea for their exhibitions, as my idea was working about the body and socio-political issues related to the body. So at the beginning, when I listened to the artists, all of the artists of the program, I was curious, okay, which of them I should choose, because there were a lot of works that I could invite them to my exhibition because they were somehow related to the concept. But for example, there were some artists that they were more focused on the technological side of the body issue, some other aspects that it was interesting for me, but if I wanted to like jump from something to the other, it was not possible. Also, there was a limitation that I couldn't work with like 10 artists for this exhibition. So I decided to invite 5 artists that by introducing these 5 projects, I can tell 5 stories and 5 narratives that can get the audience closer to the concept of the exhibition. So I can say there was a limitation because we were just we could just choose from a group of the artists. I was not that free, but at the same time there was some freedom because among the other artists I could choose. Yeah.
And it is possible to give us a brief presentation of the 5 projects?
Yeah.
Can you tell a little about?
Let me just interrupt to say that, Zohreh, whenever you want, I can share the screen with your exhibition and the artist's works.
Yeah, maybe now that I'm introducing the artist, you can just quickly pass through I think the catalog is better if you have the catalog.
Yeah, we also do. It's here.
No, I mean the file. Okay, the website also is fine, but because we are not having all the works on the website, so.
You want me to share the screen of the catalog?
No, let me just. Can I just forward the file immediately to you, or okay? Let's go to the website. Then later, if it's needed, I will send you the catalog PDF. Then it's easier. You can just open the website. Yeah.
It's also here, no? There's a link for the catalog.
Ah, perfect. Yes, I totally forget about that. Okay, let's go to the catalog then. Yeah. Because I sent the file to Mohammed because I was thinking maybe he's showing us the catalog, but then I forget to send it to you also. Okay, so this exhibition has 5 artists. I put the artists in order because I would like the audience to see the exhibition in this order. We start with Elsa. Elsa is working about her family. The reason that I start with Elsa is that the closest community to us is the family. So I wanted to start from the closest community and the closest people around us to the Anka, for example, which is working related to the space. So I started with Elsa. Elsa is working about her family. She started her project when she found a contact sheet of her father when her mother was pregnant of Elsa. She found those contact sheets, and it was really like the first idea that she really want to work about her family, because she asked herself who they are. Do I know them? Do they know me? And is it enough that we are just part of a family, or how we know each other? And maybe it's she started to think about her family, like her father, mother, grandparents, also sister and brother, by photographing them, and also by searching the archive, the family archive, family albums. So maybe we can go a bit faster. Like this is the one photo from the family album that Elsa found it, and the contact sheet that I talked about is the next. Yeah, this is the contact sheet that she found first time, and it's when her mother was pregnant of her. Yeah, so this series, as I told you, it's a kind of like searching about herself and also her family. And this was very interesting for me, because we always think that we take it as a guaranteed that we know our family, we know our beloved ones, we know our sisters and brothers, but no, it's not true. So the first other that I would like to focus on is the closest other that we know, like our family members. So with photographing them, Elsa is trying to know them better and always ask this question. That also she's photographing the object, because sometimes she really finds object more easier to reflect the characteristic of one family member than a photograph of that person. For example, these dolphins are her grandparents. Yeah, let's go to the next artist, which is Yushi. After thinking about the family, I went to Yushi. Yushi is working in this exhibition. She has two series, one series of 4 videos, and also this series that you are seeing, the photographs. This series is inspired by the classical paintings that she tried to change the narratives that we always see in the classical paintings, that the women always are the subject of the desire of men, and the women are always, like the female body is always the subject of the erotism in the classical paintings. But in this series, she tries to change this gaze, and she tries to make herself as an active woman than a passive characters that we always see in classical paintings. Mm-hmm. Also, she sometimes have animals in her photographs, also like some fantasy in her photographs, that many of them are refers to the paintings that we see, old paintings that we see. But in this series, she tried to change this gaze from the male gaze to the female gaze. And about the videos, the other series that she made, there are four videos that Yushi, some men, they wanted to be part of her projects, so she invited them to be part of her project. It's like they are just doing ordinary stuff in front of the camera, and Yushi is observing them and is filming them, and they are just doing ordinary work like cutting the making orange juice, or like cutting the fish, or folding the cloth, or like taking shower. You are watching a stranger through your camera, and they know that they are in front of you, and they are like the subject of your desire. Yushi is looking at them and is filming them, and in this series she tries to again to change this gaze, that this time it's Yushi who is looking into those male characters, and they know that they have been observed by a female in the other side of the camera. So these two series are very interesting for me because of like changing the gaze.
Mm-hmm.
And next artist is Joshua. After this, after Yushi, we have Joshua. Joshua is he's very interested about the function of the image nowadays, and how we are surrounded by images, and how we are occupied by images, and how we observe our world through the images. And in this very big collection of images that he made, I have focused on those which are related to the body, and how in this series that he made, we can observe and we can understand the atmosphere of Joshua's related to these bodies, and how he's also understanding her friends, her relatives, her close families around him by photographing them, and body is a kind of tool for him to understand them, is a kind of language to make a dialogue with them. And also he's very interested in like different function of the images, like advertising images, like fashion, like fine art. So you can see different type of photography in his series, and you see in his series that how by different function that images have, but still you can understand something from the surrounding atmosphere of his work. And the next artist is Yushin. Yushin has also two series, but these two series are part of a bigger project called Instagram project. Mainly in Instagram project, she is focusing on the images which we see in the internet from Chinese people. And why she came up with this idea, it started when she read in a book called Chinese Characteristic. It's a book written by an American missionary who was living in China late 90s, and that time it was a paragraph which was interested for Yushin, that the American traveler. He's talking about how Chinese people are sleeping and how it's easy for them to sleep. They can sleep everywhere, they can sleep every time, nothing matters. And then he explained about this characteristic of the Chinese. And then Yushin is searching the internet and finds some images that is about like the behavior of the Chinese and how Western mostly see Eastern people and specifically Chinese people. And as you see in most of the photos, you see that the emphasis is on something maybe probably funny or humorous, but Yushin is asking why the way that Western are looking in Eastern is still the same, even though that book is related to the late 90s. Still we see that nothing has changed. So she tries to change something in this series, that one that we just passed. And the first one that you already saw was named Quirky Science Questions, is about those images, but Yushin is making some scientific question. and related to the image. In this way, she actually wants to give some dignity to the image and somehow make another find another practical things related to the images. So you will have some scientific questions related to that image that probably were supposed to be laughed at. And in the second series, which calls Provocative Joke Deconstructed, these images that she found in the internet, as you see, there are some just normal photographs and nothing to laugh at or nothing specifically, but there were some texts or jokes or like sentence on the clothes of those people in the images that they were like dirty words or jokes or like provocative words. So she removed those sentences and those jokes from their clothes because she wants to take something that people want to see in that picture and laugh at it somehow. So she removed those texts and you will see just a pure image without something specific on it. And then you will see those texts around it. It was a way that she wanted to actually present the project in the exhibition, that you will see this text somehow floating in the space, and you will see and then if you see the website, you can find that we find a way that we can show these images in a way that it's supposed to be in the exhibition. So, yeah, and the last artist is Anka. Anka's project is a bit different because it's about our body, but not on the earth. It's about our body in the space. And she is very interested in the human situation on the space. And she's asking, actually this series that called Body is part of a bigger project that she's working on called Beyond, which is about the conditions of the human being on space. So in this project, Body, actually she is focusing on the situation, no gravity situation in the space, and how our body then will be affected by no gravity situation. She also worked with the archival photos from NASA, and also by having dialogue and collaboration with some scientists. She is studying the situation of the body in space, and we will see that our body will have some changes after traveling to space. So for me, it was interesting because this project somehow could be a kind of future of our body. And we will see that after, just by changing the situation from the Earth to the space, our body will be changed. And it's something, for me, it was like our body, then is like we become an other for ourselves, because our body just has changed just by traveling to space. So this project was a wrap for the exhibition, which maybe is talking about the future.
Yeah. Thank you for presenting us the
Thank you.
artists and of all projects. And
Thank you.
well, in the presentation of the exhibition, I read that this project was designed before the pandemic crisis and the anti-racist struggle. In it, you stated, although the initial idea of the exhibition was born a long time ago, reflecting on the self, the other and the body within the context of the COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing global protests against racism, can bring new insights to this field.
Yeah.
Although you started to prepare the exhibition before the COVID-19, does this context, as well as issues of racism, end up having any influence on the way the public can look at the exhibition?
Yeah, actually, it started earlier, but as you said, while I was working on the exhibition, this pandemic happened, and also this movements related to against racism which for me, the first thing that I was thinking is that maybe I cannot say like the audience should take a look at the exhibition in this way because of this, the recent experiences that we had regarding a pandemic or racism, but I would like to take their attention to this notion that it's important to acknowledge the other, but it's also important to acknowledge the right of the other. For example, when we're talking about this recent movement, Black Lives Matters, and like recently something like in Poland, also recently in Iran, Me Too movement. So in all of them, we will see that it used to be like the problem was that someone was considered as the other. And like it can be another nation, a person from another nation, it can be women like in society, that because they are considered as other, there are some injustice and inequality toward the women because they are not considered as like not the same as male gender. So in all of these things, and also in COVID, for example, something that happened was when COVID started, there were a lot of violence against, not against actually, a violence toward Chinese people, because some people were saying that, yeah, this is a Chinese virus, and all of this brutal actually and inhuman behavior related to the Chinese people and also Asian people. And it was, I think all of these things is happening because people, I know it's a very simple things and we all know about it. I'm not saying something new, but this is something I would like to emphasize, that we should start from ourselves, first of all, because we are also an other for someone else. So if we are thinking about like differences between us and the other people, and that's why, for example, we feel free to get like I don't know, to have a bad behavior with someone else just because we see differences and we see, okay, it's all right. No, we also are other for someone else. So it's important that we start from ourselves and acknowledge this other. It's okay, but acknowledge the right of the other. So I think maybe it can be like good point that maybe audiences after, specifically, for example, we have Yushin project about Chineseness, which is exactly something that happened recently. So maybe they can think about it.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Sarvi, in your text entitled What Can Body Do? Articulation and Reflections of the Liminality of Self and Other, written for the catalogue, you state, there is no apolitical body. What is the importance of this subject matter and of these works for the moment we are experiencing?
Well, hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. What do you mean by the moment? You mean the COVID?
The COVID and the pandemic situation.
Because what is happening right now in the US in regard with the election, it is, to me, is as big as it is becoming as big as the pandemic. And somehow the world is like they are focused and they are following what is going on, and the state unfolding regarding the election is, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, it is amazing and terrifying. I hope it will end in a good situation. Okay. Anyway, back to the question. I think although this project started long before the COVID-19 pandemic, I believe it shows its relevance today even more. Because the way the artists in this exhibition were dealing with the idea of body, self, and the other as well, it has, I think it's kind of like marks a very specific history. Those people at that moment when it was before the pandemic, they were thinking about body, self, and the other in that way. And it is amazing right now to go back and ask the artists what would be the unfolding, what would be the change in their perspectives right now, because I think it would be huge. For instance, as Zohreh mentioned in Yushin's work, if I'm not mistaken, that representation of Chinese people, I don't know whether we can call the Chinese body because it doesn't exist, but Chinese people's representations in this war after the pandemic, it is, I believe, it would be completely different. So from this, as I mentioned in the text, I don't think we can go through and find a solid final definition of body. Body unfolds, it constantly transforms, and it constantly exchange. And therefore, as you can see in the text, what I'm really interested and focused on is to understand what are the potentialities and the multiplicities of a single body, and how bodies connect, how they form and deform, how they exchange, how, and at the same time, I don't see bodies as I said, as fixed entities. Thus, we have a kind of, I see the body as a montage, as a fractured, boundless, shattered, and sometimes folding inside and folding outside, and therefore this, all these exchanges between self and the other happens for me through the bodies of these two, for instance, people or group of people, to bring self and other together, or in some cases to make them far from each other. So in this sense, I feel my recollection is that when we talk about self and the other through the idea of body, and we presume these subjects have their own materiality, which is embedded in this case in the shape of their bodies, we always have politics between, because those two entities should recognize each other, and that's exactly the point. The politics involves in the body and the way we look at our bodies and other people's body. So the concept of recognition, which I borrow from Christoa in this text, is a notion that helps me to reflect on the idea of body and self and the other, in order to move forward and think about formal and informal bodies, which are at the same time, again, the political notions, because formal bodies are citizens and informal bodies are non-citizens. Citizens are those who vote, who decide, and non-citizens are those who are supposed to be marginalized, in some cases excluded, in some cases even oppressed. So those people are being excluded or marginalized through their bodies. And therefore, whenever we talk about bodies, we talk about political bodies, and the politics involved in order to, I don't know, shape those bodies, in order to, in some strange cases, guide their bodies, discipline their bodies, and so on and so forth. So for this, from this perspective, I believe what the body itself as such is political. And those rare cases when we see artists, when you ask them what is the political implication of your work, we see that the answer is that, no, my work is not political. I really don't buy it, because we live in a politically, I would say, saturated situation. And at the same time, those definition of bodies, voices people have, the way people is positioned in different situation, that makes me to think that body is always political. The relation between two body, the relations between multiplicities of bodies, those are also political as well.
Yeah. And what role can evocation of the body play in art in the re-evaluation of risk in a society that is increasingly aware of the meaning and implication of physical proximity? In some way, does the distance this public health crisis impose contrast with the desired and the relational proximity between the self and the other? What do you think?
Very complex. Yeah, I know, but it is a very complex question to answer because we are in the middle of this and we are experiencing the situation. We are trying to understand what is going on. Look, when this project started, people didn't have any clue of what is going on. We are just, it is so recent that we know what is we are facing, and this is constantly changing. It is strange in this way that although if we compare it to our ancestors' experience of facing pandemics, for instance, in 15th century, I don't know, even till 19th century with plague, and lately in 20th century with Ebola and the like, we have much more ability in hand to firstly know what we are facing and secondly how to deal with that. But at the same time, a lot of things are unknown. We don't know what exactly this virus is, how it works, and how we are going to keep ourselves safe against its attack. So I think we are learning this. And here is, we see the division all over the world. Some people are saying that all this mask wearing and this anxiety about like you have to keep distance, social distancing is nonsense. And on the other side of the spectrum, we see the people are crazy about their keeping themselves locked in their rooms and their houses, and they don't even communicate in its minimum way. So that's the game we have, and I really don't have the answer for that. But what I understand is that our life, our social life is extremely complex. It's a system of extremely diverse interacting agents, people with different goals, with different backgrounds, with different benefits involved in this system. And what I understand is it's the impossibility of the prediction. Nobody could predict what would be the result. Even right now, no one knows what will be the US elections result. And it is the same in the case of coronavirus. It was the same in the case of Brexit. We are living in a more constantly, increasingly more complex system. And I think that's because our problems, our issues are becoming much more global. And in that case, we need to think about or even rethink about this collective body, because our problems are becoming much more global. We need to have global collective solutions for it.
Okay, AIDS created the condition for a move away from physical contact and for the launch of contactless communication platforms. The internet was operated by the psychic mutation called AIDS. At this point, the coronavirus strongly imposed the domain of virtual life, and we can move on to a condition of isolation and a new generation that can internalize the terror of the bodies of others. Do we somehow have to be glued to a network to communicate and assert ourselves in society? What do you think?
Yes and no. Yes, in that sense that we cannot, it is 21st century, as never before, social media, traveling, international trade, it is going to make what has been promised as the world as united. What was the late 20th century promise of the global village? And we are living that. We are using Zoom. It was before other different devices, and it is going to be part of our lives. But right now, I think much important issue we have to think about is that kids need new educational tools in rural places. They cannot attend in schools. They need, I don't know, cell phones. In many parts of the world, people don't have access to those devices. How, instead of kind of like thinking about this a little bit abstract old question that Emmanuel Costas, for instance, was trying to answer for a long time with his amazing network society theory, I think we need more creative answers for our immediate needs. As I said, those kids in rural areas, how can we expand social media, new media tools to those people? And again, I think it is a collective action needed to solve that problem.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you, Zohreh and Mohammed. And I don't know if you, what would you like to highlight as unique in somebody's exhibition? I don't know if you have any other commentary about the exhibition, something important to say to the our listeners.
I wanted to add something not necessarily related to the exhibition, but as Mohammed also mentioned, we are in the middle of this. And I think if maybe after pandemic, I look at my project, maybe there are some aspects that now it's even in the work of the artist, maybe then they should reconsider some things, or maybe I should reconsider something related to the notion of the body and self and the other, because I think some things will be changed. For example, in the middle of this pandemic, but we are facing with, I think, like, you just remember in so many countries, a lot of protests happen just exactly in the middle of the pandemic. At the same time that we think, okay, in the pandemic, people are isolated and they just think about the survival of themselves. But we are facing with such big movement around the world, which for me was unbelievable. That how come, for example, all of these things are happening just in 2020, and we are thinking about our lives and being alive. But at the same time, people are changing. I mean, some things are going to be changed. The awareness about the other, I think. Which maybe later we see some other aspects related to the exhibition concepts.
Okay, hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you also for the questions, and thank you, Nono and Rebecca, and also thank you, Mohammed, for writing the essay for the exhibition, and also for being here for the conversation.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add before we finish that, of course, due to the pandemic, the exhibition only happened in this online form, although there is a physical catalog. And we surely hope that we will be able to have the exhibition in its physical form very soon. We are...
Yeah, it's so.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, really. We need it, really.
So thank you, Zohreh and Mr. Sarvi, for being with us, and Sandra for moderating this conversation and making very pertinent questions. And just to remember that there is 5 more exhibitions that you can check and other conversations as well. So that's it.
Yeah. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Sarvi. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.